Hello guys, have hope all is well at your end. Assalamu alaikum. In today's lecture we will be talking about politics. In the last lecture we discussed power, its types and basis of that in very detail. Today we will be studying about politics and what is organizational politics and how can we manage politics in our organization. Is politics good or not in the organization? If it is yes, then how? If it is not, then how to manage it? Well, uh, politics uh, is a fact of life in organizations. People who ignore this fact of life do so at their own danger. But why, you may wonder, must politics exist in organization or no? Isn't it possible for organization to be politics free? Of course, it's possible, but unlikely. Organizations are made up of individuals and groups with different values, with different goals and different interests. This set up the potential for conflict uh, over resources, departmental budgets, space allocations, project responsibilities, and salary adjustments are just a few examples of the resources about whose allocation organization members will disagree. Of course, we can understand that resources in organizations are always limited, which often turns potential conflict uh, into real conflict. So, if resources were abundant, if they were a lot, then all the various conflicts or constituencies within the organization could satisfy their goal. But unfortunately, we do not have uh, abundant resources. But because they are limited, not everyone's interest can be provided for. Furthermore, we can say that gains by one individual or groups are often perceived as being at the expense of others within the organization. If I gain something, if I get something, if I've been rewarded in the organization, so it is a kind of conflict. It's a kind of bad for my other colleagues, my other employees, or my other subordinates, because it's a kind of jealousy. So we say that these forces create competition among members for the organization's limited resources. Maybe the most important factor leading to politics within an organization is the realization that most of the facts that are used to allocate the limited resources are open to interpretations. So, politics is a profession. Uh, it's a profession of searching for troubles, finding whether trouble exists or not, and how it is diagnosed. It deals with unveiling conditions, purposes, situations. We can say that workplace politics are usually leg pulling and backbiting. Leg pulling means that how you, uh, you pull his leg and you remove him from the scenario, from the scenes, or backbiting ghabat kardan. So uh, most of the time when we are talking about politics in the organization or work politics organization, زمان مقصد دا وي چې د چا خپې به وهي یا پای یا کسې زدنه یا غیبت از the organization ایره politics mega. So uh, politics is exciting because people disagree, and when they disagree about how they should live, who should get what, how should power and other resources be distributed, should society be based on cooperation, on conflict, and so on and so forth. So they also disagree about how such matters should be resolved, how should collective decisions be made, who should have a say, who should say words, how much influence should each person have, and so forth. Aristotle was called the person who used this word in politics. Uh, in He says that nothing less than the activity through which human beings attempt to improve their lives and create the good society. So politics is all a society activity, a social activity, a societal activity. It is always a dialogue. It's never a monologue. Dialogue is between two or more than two people, while monologue is uh, one-to-one conversation or one-to-one dialogue. It's self-talking monologue. So politics, in its broadest sense, we can say it is the activity through which people make, people preserve, and amend the general rules under which they live. Uh, Politics is the actions or activities concerned with achieving and using power in a country, in a society, or in an organization. So uh, we say that organization uh, uh, politics has two words we discussed earlier, and that are conflict and cooperation. So conflict means that uh, competition between opposing forces reflecting a diversity of opinions, their preferences, their needs or interests. While cooperation means working together to achieve a goal through collective actions. This was all about politics, the general means of politics. Now we come to organizational politics. What is organizational politics? Uh, the term politics refers to the informal ways people try to exercise influence in organization through the management of shared meaning. Politics should be viewed as neither an inherently bad or nor good phenomena, but rather one to be observed that should be analyzed and comprehended to gain a more informed understanding of organizations how they operate. Theory and research on organizational politics has fallen into three categories. One area concerns itself with the nature of actual political behavior, types of tactics and strategies, and their consequences. A second category is focusing on perception of politics in work environment by individuals, the antecedents of such perceptions and their consequences. And thirdly, the most recent category of research on organizational politics emphasizes the construct of political skills and demonstrate the role it plays in an organizational behavior. Uh, Organizational politics refers to the influencing tactics and the activities they are undertaken to retain personal control in the workplace. In most cases, it's seen that employees use organizational politics as a tool to misuse their power. They misuse their power to gain extreme popularity and make dirty the image of someone else in their company. Uh, an essential fact about work politics is that it generally leads to negativity and loss of productivity in the workplace. So, It is the process that it is related to the self-serving human behavior and his interaction involving authority and power. Now, politics, power in action, political behavior are those activities. Now, we will talk about political behavior. Political behavior are those activities that are not required as part of one's formal role in the organization. They do not have any formal role in the organization, but they have the influence. They have the quality of influencing or attempting to influence the distribution of advantages and disadvantages within the organization. There are two types of political behavior, and they can be legitimate political behavior and illegitimate behaviors. There are two factors that can contribute to political behavior, and they can be individuals factors. Individual factor refers to the personality, the traits, the needs, the qualities, the charisma, while organizational factors can be the resources. When the resources decline, when the resources change, when there is low trust, when there is high performance pressures and the opportunity of promotion. So these are the factors, organizational factors. Now, how do people respond to organizational politics? When there is politics in the organization, so uh, there are most of the time four consequences, the results, the reactions of employees in the organization. uh, they can decrease the job satisfaction. uh, there can be an increase anxiety and stress of the employee. um, there can be increased turnover. Yesterday we talked about turnover means the leaving, the intention to leave, or the actual leaving of the organization, quitting the job. So if politics was used in the organization, of course the employee will leave the organization. There will be an increased turnover. And lastly, there will be a reduced performance of the organization, the employee in the organization. If politics was used, and the politics was of leg pulling or backbiting or any kind of jealousy, so of course the performance of that employee will be reduced. So we discussed that office politics or organizational politics decreases the overall productivity, their performance. uh, People who are involved in politics will pay less attention to their work, and therefore the performances and the concentration will be less, of course. The people who are hardworking, of course, will lose the motivation and interest if the politics was used. Um, if internal politics uh, were used, they do not allow the employees to give their best, as no matter how much they put their work, their efforts, and if they put lots of uh, work and effort in the organization, but the management, the upper level, or his line manager, or middle manager, or his upper level will not uh, give him any attention to them, because there is a politics used in that. Uh, we come to the importance of organizational politics. There are about eight importance of organizational politics, and they can be motivating employees, gaining dignity, uh, resisting indiscipline, uh, increase productivity, influencing employees, uh, gaining dignity and recognition, successful bargaining, using group effort, selection of suitable leader. Motivating employees means due to their presence in the organizational politics, employees may be motivated with the hope that their interests would not be troubled. Their their interests will not be disturbed. Resisting indiscipline means that indiscipline from the employee side may be resisted with the help of organizational politics. Increase productivity mean for the sake of increasing productivity, employees may be involved with organizational politics. Uh, if uh, uh, someone wants to be in the politics and they want to uh, im- uh, increase the productivity of employees, so of course then they use their politics. uh, Influencing employees mean that the presence of the political influence, employees may be convinced about the plans and goals of the organization. uh, Next is gaining dignity and recognition. Of course, if politics is used, then he will be gaining dignity, and he will be recognized in the organization. And successful bargaining means uh, using democratic systems in the organization. Bargaining, successful bargaining may take place in the presence or in organizational politics in a freedom way. Uh, Next is using group efforts. Organizational politics can use group efforts successfully for achieving goals of any enterprise. Because they're using politics, a group discussion will be boosted, their performances will be boosted. Uh, Lastly, selection of suitable leader. Uh, uh, if organizational politics works well, suitable candidates as well as leaders may be selected and organization can run well. Uh, Next is uh, what is the disadvantage of organizational politics? Office politics or organizational politics decreases the overall productivity, as earlier we said. Employees who play politics may pay less attention to their work. It affects the concentration of all employees. Uh, Even the most hardworking employees might lose his motivation and interest in work and start to work just for the sake of attending it. Uh, Office politics can also lead to demotivated uh, employees. Uh, an unproductive worker could be promoted due to favoritism shown by the supervisor, by his line manager, which will highly demotivate good performers who will feel underappreciated. Office politics also leads to higher level of stress among employees. Individuals would find it difficult to confide in any of their fellow workers as they will be afraid of that their secrets will be leaked out to others. So such kind of employees will fail to trust each other. Some disadvantages can be divisiveness. Um, uh, Divisiveness means they will be divided into groups in the organization if politics was used. Distraction means that their own work will be left and they will be involved in other activities, which is politics. So it's one of the disadvantages that they will be diverted from their own work, which will affect their performance, their work, and their productivity. Feuds will arise, dukhmani or enmity will be arised because there is a leg pulling uh, leg pulling approach. So when there is a leg pulling approach, چې کله leg pulling وي د خلکو خپې راښکل وي د خلکو خپې وهل وي په organizations کې. No, of course دښمني به رایز کېږي. Feud means enmity, دښمني چې کله انسان د بل چا خپې وهي او په organization کې دا یو common خبره ده زموږ په organizations کې چې موږ د یو بل خپې وهو او غواړو چې مخکې لاړ شو. But a good employee او یو good leader چې دی هغه بل چا خپې نه وهي، هغه یو بل سره همکار اوسیږي او یو بل سره کارونه کوي. بله خبره چې دی هغه پکې disciplinary actions دی. هغه څوک چې indiscipline activities کوي، politics use کوي، نو هغه indiscipline activities رایز کېږي او په دې سره چې دی هغه بیا هغه بیا هم conflicts رایز کېږي او conflicts چې کله رایز شو نو هلته بیا discipline نه یوز کېږي. هغه هلته چې دی abusiveness اضافه کیږي او more activities which affects the performance of a person, which affects the behavior of a person, will arise in the organization. So next is firm management and bullying. بل خبره پکې چې دی کله چې politics use شي نو بیا management ډېر سخت شي په organization کې. نو bullying راځي. bullying means بدمعشي arise کیږي. هر څوک خپل کارونه پتا کوي او هغه بدمعشي کوي په تا باندې په organizations کې چې دا هم یو قسم conflict دی په organization کې. bullying چې دی دا negative activity دی په organization کې. نو ځکه چې کله bullying یا بدمعشي arise شي او تا باندې یو کس امر کوي او هغه ستا job description کې نه وي نو of course it will arise a conflict او دا به negative emotions چې دی هغه د subordinates ترمنځ هغه arise کیږي. Now why are organizational politics inevitable? ولی organizational politics چې دغه inevitable دی هغه نه منع کېدونکی دی because some individuals have more power and authority than others and they often indulge in organizational politics. زیات خلکو سره چې دغه پاور وي هغه سره authority وي د نورو په نسبت باندې نو هغه چې کله پاور یوز کوي هغه به خپل politics هم یوز کوي. بل چې دی نو some people are politically savvy and they encourage organizational politics so that they can have their way. بعضی خلک چې دی هغه astute دي هغوی چې دی comprehension they can apprehend the organizational politics and they say that by this we can take out their own work. هغه خپل کار وباسي په دې باندې په politics باندې خپل کار خپل مفاد او interest به چې دی هغه یوز کوي او هغه به چې دی مخکې بوزي. نو ځکه چې دی دغه د دې له وجې politics په organization کې خلک خپل کار ویستل غواړي د خلکو authorities زیات وي نو هغه خپل political politics یوز کوي په organization کې. Every employee wants to step on the ladder of success but as the path is narrow everyone cannot travel together. معلومه خبره ده چې کله هر څوک غواړي چې په successful شي کامیاب شي په organizations کې هر کس می خواهد که کامیاب شود لیکن این راه کوتاست راه تنگ است و نمیتونه که هر کسی به این راه سفر کنه. People often take help of organizational politics to remove others from their path so that they can go smoothly and gain their heart's desire. مخکې هم موږ په همدې کې وویل چې ولې بعضې خلک چې دي هغه یو د مخې نه لرې کوي په لیک پولینګ کوي هغه د یو بل پښې کش کوي. اگر in organizations people will use leg pulling approach and they want to clear their own way for them so therefore they remove them. بل خبره دا ده چې people often have to use limited resources to compete for limited resources and this conflict make organization politics inevitable. resources موږ وویل چې په هر organization کې چې دی هغه limited وي هر ځای کې limited وي نو د دې لپاره چې دا limited resources په ښه توګه سره یوز شي نو خلک politics یوز کوي چې په همدغه لږ resources نه په لږو ذرایعو نه سرچینو نه چې دی هغه خپل کار واخلي چې کله د لږو سرچینو نه کار اخلي نو of course he will be using different ways to gain and reach their goals. څه رقم کولی شو چې organizational politics reduce کړو په organization کې. اوله خبره دا ده چې task should be delegated on the basis of efficiency and work experience. اگر هغه task چې دی هغه نورو خلکو ته باید په کومو طریقو سره دغه کسان چې هغوی experience لري هغوی efficient وي په خپل جاب کې نو هغوی ته چې دی delegate شي ورکړل شي ورته په کوم سره چې دې سره به organizational politics یا د اداري سیاست به چې دی هغه کم شي ورسره. بل دا دی چې transparency باید چې دی هغه باندې تاکید وکړلی شي. transparency means شفافیت باندې کار وکړل شي. کله چې یو پروسه شفاف وي، کله چې organization شفاف وي، کله چې خلک په organization کې چې دی شفاف وي او کارونه ښه توګه سره چې دی هغه پر مخ ځي، کارا خوب میروه، then there is no need of organizational politics. There will be organizational politics. می باشه سیاست در organization می باشه، خو ولی از او کده کم می باشه. وقتی که یک کسی را تعیین کنه که او کارا باشه، کار کده میتونه، یک کسی که اکسپیرینس داشته باشه، تجربه کرده باشه داشته باشه، و یک کسی که transparent باشه، شفاف باشه، then the politics in the organization will be of course کم می باشه. دیگه گپ که از تیم ورک پروموشن، گروپ را چی کنید، تقویه کنید، یک باند جون کنید که و کار کنه و از سیاست بگذره. دیگه effective communication، مفاهمه که در ارگانیزیشن می باشه، مفاهمه effective مؤثر مفاهمه که استعمال شود در ارگانیزیشن، then office or organizational politics will be reduced. و last gap که است encourage a positive framework of mind in the workplace. یک positive framework یا positivity optimism چې دی هغه د خلکو ترمنځ باید ایجاد شي. نو دلته چې دی بیا organizational politics چې دی هغه کمیږي. نو دا و د نن درس د organizational politics باره کې، اول politics و بیا organizational politics کې advantages او disadvantages هم ویل، importance هم ویل، او هم ویل چې څه رقم نه منع کېدونکی دی، یعنی politics په organization کې نه منع کېدونکی دی، خو څه رقم من کولی شو، کوم تګلارې لرو موږ چې موږ په organizations کې سیاست یا organizational politics کم کو. ختمېدونکی خو امکان لري چې ختم شي، خو at least دومره کېدلی شي چې مونږ یې کم کړو. thank you very much. ډېره مننه. که چاته سوال وي یا کومه پوښتنه وي، سجیشنز وي، نو کولی شي چې په LMS کې میسج وکړي، کامنټ وکړي، یا چې دین ما ته خپله واتساپ باندې ایمیل وکړي. thank you very much. الله مبارک. خوشحاله اوسئ.